All right, let's go ahead and get started. For those of you who I've not met, I am Maggie. I'm the Community Product Manager for DataHub. Super excited to have everybody here today. As always, we have a ton of really exciting content to work through. So let's go ahead and jump on in. All right, so we are talking November Town Hall, even though it's December. Holy cow, how is it December? I cannot keep my days straight. Like I said, plenty to get through. We're going to do community updates, roadmap updates, as always. We have a case study from our friends at Pinterest. Super excited about that. We're going to give a bunch of sneak peeks and kind of previews of some stuff that we're going to be merging in soon. Some of improvements to our Quickstart guides, in-app product tours, so helping people get more familiar with the DataHub app itself. Chris is going to jump in and show some manual lineage functionality. And then Shirshanka is going to show us how we can start sending alerts, notifications to Slack and Microsoft Teams. So let's kick things off with a quick overview of how things are going in the community. We have over 5,000 people now. We nearly have 5,400 people. Since our last town hall, we had 426 folks join. This is the largest kind of number of new members we've had in any given month. So super excited to see that volume excitement continue. And we just continue to welcome a bunch of new folks from literally all over the world. My mind is blown how interconnected this community is across the planet. It's pretty amazing. We saw exactly 1,000 weekly active users on average in the past month, 8,400 messages posted, 640 reactions. Long way of saying still vibrant, or the community is still as vibrant as ever, and we're super excited to have everybody here and contributing to the conversation. If you've been into a town hall in the past, you know that we like to take a look at our support volume and just kind of understanding the health of the community and the health of the GitHub project itself. So over the past 4 weeks, we had 53 PRs opened on average per week, which is slightly higher than the previous period. But so we're consistently seeing in that kind of 40 to 50 range. What you will see here is in the first week of November, we had 40 PRs opened, but only about, I think it's like 10 or 12 PRs merged. This was due to the full Acryl data team. We were at an offsite, so we were focused on connecting with one another, but we are jumping back in and kind of ramping up code contributions and merge throughput thereafter. So a little bit of dip, but we're back to our normal cadence for now. In terms of Slack support, so questions that come into our main support channels, we're seeing consistently around that 600 questions per week mark, primarily in our ingestion and troubleshoot channels. I always like to remind folks, if you're able to jump in and provide support to other community members, it's super, super helpful for us. It means that we get to spend more time on feature development, on code review, really just keeping the velocity high in the project itself. So if you can jump in to support us, we would love that and appreciate you very, very much. We'll do a quick check on our roadmap. In our last town hall, we went through these roadmap items for the remainder of Q4. So we have some really exciting UX improvements coming up with saved views, manual lineage, et cetera. Some upcoming actions with our upcoming connections with our DataHub actions, and then also some community-led initiatives. So just a quick kind of status update here. The vast majority of these are either in review, so code complete and in review, merged, or in flight. So we're going to get an update from John on saved views today. We will hear from Chris on our manual lineage. We'll hear from Aditya and the new user experience with our in-app product tour. Shirshanka is going to show us our Slack connector. G Research just recently merged in support for Neo4j impact analysis, so that multi-hop impact analysis. And then the Grab team is targeting end of year to drive out some documentation improvements. So from a roadmap perspective, we are on track to hit pretty much every single milestone we set out. I think we'll even, hopefully, I'm speaking for John, putting you on the spot, we will hopefully be picking up the subscribe to an entity work before the end of the year, which was a stretch goal, and we will hustle right along there. All right, now this is my absolute favorite part of every single town hall because we get to celebrate our wonderful community. that did not come through the way it was supposed to. As I said, as I was mentioning, we are super appreciative of folks that can jump in and provide community support. We had XL, as always, jumping in to help folks. Pablo's also been a heavy hitter, as well as Steve and Yun, and just really, really, really appreciative for you all jumping in and providing that support, along with all these other wonderful humans. I won't list them all out, but we really appreciate all of you folks. Another thing that we like to do is celebrate teams that are driving adoption of DataHub. This is really a really great way for us to lend credibility and really visibility of the project. So we have Patrick over at Herb, who has been driving the implementation. Congrats to the Herb team. I know Patrick's based out of Brazil, and I think Herb is a travel agency in South America. We also have Razor, Yi from Razor, great work there. I asked them for other folks on their team. Looks like they were driving a lot of the initiatives there, but congrats to both of those teams there. Another huge success is the Wikimedia Foundation has officially adopted DataHub. So huge congrats to that team. Likewise, they've provided a ton of transparency into kind of how they evaluated data catalogs, how they arrived at DataHub, and kind of their use cases. So if you're curious, a quick Google should get you there. A quick Google search should get you there if you're interested in kind of how they approach that. But with them being kind of like an open knowledge company, they're also very transparent in how they approach their development work, which is amazing to see. Just a reminder, if your company has adopted DataHub, if you want to get that on our website, get that in our repo, reach out to me. We'll get your logo added. We love to, we'll celebrate you at an upcoming town hall. All right, so we had Hacktoberfest in October. We had 39 different people contribute to Hacktoberfest with 52 different PRs. As promised, we announced this in Slack, I think in mid-October. We're going to choose 3 random winners to get a $250 Amazon gift card and a DataHub swag box. So we are actually going to do this live this very moment with this beautiful random name wheel. You can't hear the sound, but it's making a really obnoxious sound. All right, our first winner. Woohoo! It's also, there's applause playing. You can't hear it, but there's applause playing. All right, so we got one winner. Thought this would go a little faster. It's okay, we'll get there. We got Adam, $250 Amazon gift card, swag box, love it.
Wow. Amazing.
And we got one more coming.
Maggie, where's the core team on this wheel?
We are spinning the wheel. We are spinning the wheel.
Everybody from the core team. All right, David Schmidt, we also got you, well deserved. So yeah, we are still making our way through review on some of those, but hopefully if you participated in Hacktoberfest, hopefully you got the much loved Hacktoberfest t-shirt through that organization. But congrats to those 3 folks. I'll reach out to you, get you those gift cards and swag boxes. And also just shout out to the nearly 40 people who contributed during that time. Pretty amazing. All right, we're going to talk project updates. I will do a quick PR overview. So since we last met, we have merged exactly 200 PRs between our main DataHub project and our Helm project. We had 56 contributors across versions 091 and 093. With 23 first-time contributors. That is bonkers to me. That's amazing. So huge shout out to all those folks. Also 33 repeat contributors. We wouldn't be able to do it without you. We did just push 093 last, John, I think you pushed it last night. So I'll post an announcement in our Slack channel later on today with links out to all of that, and we'll get you all information there. Shirshanka, I'm going to hand it over to you for this part.
All right. And how much time do I have, Maggie?
5 minutes.
All right. Great. So as you might have noticed, we actually didn't do a release for a while. And as a result, we had like a massive release, 093, that just went out last night, right, John? And when you look at the amount of stuff that's got in over the last month, it's just incredible. We have a huge number of things that have shown up on the user experience side, and you'll get a preview of a lot of that today as well. So I won't read through all of the text. The one that I'm really excited about is some of the caching work that has gone in to actually make the UI much more responsive. We want to hit kind of those instant numbers. That's our North Star, where we want to have you feel like finding things, exploring things, searching for stuff is just extremely instant. And so that's something that you'll see in the product happening over the next few months as well. On the developer experience side, we've added new entity change events. And if you don't know what entity change events are, you'll find out very soon, because I'll be demoing the Slack and Teams integration built on exactly that. And we've added capabilities for you to listen to data process runs as well as assertion runs, which allows you to kind of observe how things are changing in your data stack. Maggie talked about Neo4j. We continue to support it as a graph backend, and the G research team has done some really good work here. Airflow interdependency has been a thorn in our side for a long time, thanks to Airflow's extremely complex set of dependencies. We've been obviously reacting to that and loosened our dependencies recently. So now you should be able to run DataHub's Python client along with Airflow 2.3+. Check with Harshal on even better ways to do this so that you don't have to depend on a specific Airflow version or have to deal with the compat issues going forward by using virtual envs or Kubernetes-based operators. And moving on to metadata integrations, great news, the automated PII classification that we demoed, I think last town hall, is actually live, and it's integrated into the Snowflake connector, and it'll be coming to more and more connectors over the next few releases. So you should be able to start using those capabilities and starting to get automated classification happening on your data warehouse as well as your data lake soon. We talked about integrations on dbt Cloud, Databricks Unity Catalog. All of those are out there for you to integrate with, try out. Stateful ingestion, we've simplified a ton so that it's like just 5 lines of code for you to add stateful ingestion to any connector. And we've taken dogfooded it ourselves, rolled it out for Looker and LookML. And finally, on integration side, a lot of improvements to a bunch of connectors. BigQuery has now become officially, the BigQuery beta connector that was incubating for a while is now the official BigQuery connector. You now only need one. And LookML, we have got better column level lineage, a host of other improvements. So a lot of stuff definitely happened over the last month, and John will walk you through some of the quick UX wins.
Thanks, Shirshanka. Yeah, so I just want to take one moment to point out that in addition to the big things like views and the tutorial that you'll see today, we're also on the product side working on the small things. So we're constantly trying to make small incremental UX improvements to the DataHub experience. Some things we've rolled out in 0.9.3, you'll notice, are just improved tooltips, improved education messaging around things like the navigation tabs, an ability to explore all of your data in a single click so that you can jump right into exploration if you have no kind of prior knowledge of what's in DataHub. We have a new share button, which allows you to easily share out entity references with your team. In addition to that, we've done things like making certain tables easily sortable. We've moved up those external links for dashboards, charts, data jobs, and data flows into the search previews, and a host of other things. One other thing I wanted to point out is that we're going to be working on a track which is around UI performance improvements. So if you've been paying attention closely to the GitHub repo, you notice we've raised PRs on caching. So for example, the domains page is now fully cached, meaning that when you create domains or edit them or delete them, you'll see that feedback in the UI instantaneously. We're going to be continuing to roll that across the experience in the next month or two. So definitely keep an eye out for that. No more 3-second delay or 2-second delay after you do certain editing actions. I think that'll make things feel much better. And with that, I think we can move on to the next update I wanted to give to you folks, which is around views. So first of all, thank you for everyone who responded to the survey we sent out after the last town hall on the early views demo. We got a lot of really promising feedback from that, and we've taken that and now incorporated a lot of that into the first milestone of the views feature. We're going to get that into the next release, 0.9.4. And basically, it will contain what you see here. So views is a way to take those advanced filters that we've introduced and save them as reusable filters, which you can then kind of use for personal use or share with the broader your broader organization as a public view. And so definitely keep an eye out for that. We'll be rolling out a tutorial or feature guide along with that. So really interested to get this out and get some feedback from you guys when we get 0.9.4 out. One last thing I'll say is just call to action. With all of these small improvements in the UX, we really are looking to have continued feedback. One place we can gather that is in the UI channel in Slack. We've already responded to many, many different comments in that channel. So please continue to bring in the feedback on that channel, and we will continue to try to act on it as quickly as possible. With that, I think I can hand it back to Maggie.
Amazing. Thanks so
Just
much,
one more
folks.
thing. Sorry, Maggie, for just one more thing I forgot to mention. We have also been making a lot of progress on tackling those security vulnerabilities. A lot of you probably know that, our initial Docker images had quite a lot of CVEs showing up, and we've actually started whittling them down. You'll see a lot of progress on that particular track happening right now, as well as in the next coming weeks. All right, back to you,
Great
Maggie.
reminder there. Thank you. All right, so we are going to move on over to our community case study with the Pinterest team. I will hand it over to you, Zhong.
Sure. Can I just share my screen? Can you share? Can you see my screen?
We sure can.
Great. Hello, I'm a software engineer in Pinterest, and I and Lena, we are working on the DataHub. We adopt a DataHub project in Pinterest for half a year, and my team, Big Data Query Platform, is responsible for the backend, while Lena's team, application platform, is responsible for front end. Today, we are going to present together for how does DataHub project works in Pinterest. And I will present most. And if you have some front-end or UI questions, feel free to ask Lena. Okay, so we have several content. First, I will overview it, and second, I will talk about Swift repo ingestion and data element. Then we will talk about the future. So I'm in the big query platform team in Pinterest. I'm maintaining the query engines for internal users to use to do offline analysis. So two engines we are maintaining, which is Presto and Spark. And we for the table schema, we use high meta store as well as the Swift repo. So every day Swift repo will be compiled to jar and feed into the Presto and Spark so that we can understand the data schema. However, this is not convenient, and we can't add any metadata on these schemas. So we think, what about, can we adopt a schema metadata management tool to Pinterest so that our user can easily navigate the tables and the Swift schema to understand what's the semantic meaning of the columns, what's the table tier, what's the table retention, such metadata. Then after investigating a bunch of so first I will talk about some numbers. We have 250K Hive tables and 100K Swift struct and enums. So the main pain point is, for the data consumer, people don't know which table should be used and what the column mean. And for the data producer, they need a governance tool. They need to add some metadata, but they don't know where to add. And we compare this open source project like OpenMeta, and finally we compare some, consider the storage, web UI, access control, and so on. Finally, we find the DataHub best fit our requirement, so we adopt that. Then there are some gaps between DataHub and our requirement. First is Swift ingestion. Looks like we don't have Swift ingestion in DataHub, although we have protobuf, but Swift is a different thing. So we spend some time to add a Swift ingestion there. And secondly is we want to add a very complicated column level metadata called data element. I will introduce these two things in the following. So first is Swift ingestion. We want to ingest the Swift REPL, which is a code, into a DataHub service. So it looks like this. There is a Swift file called struct, blah, blah, and it has 2 columns. And after ingestion, we will see the UI. Hey, this is a Swift Swift struct name, and these are the fields of the Swift. This is the outcome. For people who don't know the Swift is like a protobuf. It's just a schema, hard code schema in a file, and it can represent any data structures, and it can be compiled into any different languages and do the serialization, deserialization, and so forth. So here are some Swift example. We have Swift enum, for example. We have a full A, B, C, D. We have struct full, have 3 columns in the struct, and we have some union for 2 different struct. And also we support the what is name annotation. We support annotation for a column level. For example, this is a struct full. It has 1 column and no lint is a annotation. And also we support the struct level annotation. For example, this struct full has a Python immutable annotation. So we consider can we ingest the Swift into the DataHub? We thought about 2 approaches. One is directly from the Swift source file, and another is from generated artifacts. If we generate from artifacts, it will be very similar like current protobuf ingestion. But it has disadvantage because some information is being lost. For example, Python namespace and line number, and those annotation or other additional information is very important to us. So we decided to go from the source file. Then, thanks to DataHub's extendability, we could easily build our Swift model. So this is the green entity or spectre means the existing from the DataHub, and the blue one are additional one. So we just add another platform schema called Swift schema, and this Swift schema has everything I want to ingest. And the ingestion flow is we will read the Swift file, and first we get the header, and header means the namespace and namespace table struct name and so forth. Second, we use this result to run a visitor called get declaration visitor, and we get name resolver. Finally, we write a binder and use the name resolver to get MCPs to ingest to DataHub. This is too technical detail. We haven't like contribute the Swift back into the DataHub, but it's on our plan. Here is what it look like for the Swift UI. So this is a table. This column use a list of attributed action. Attributed action is a Swift struct, and you can click this attributed action, and it will navigate to a Swift struct. It has bunch of field in the Swift, and you can further click this blue one and go into to see the detail. So this give our customer a very convenient way to explore what's a very nested structure like. So, and it's very concise in the in the root level UI. So you can only see the contributed action, and then you can navigate if you want. Okay, this is for the Swift UI. And the second thing I want to introduce is a data element. Data element in Pinterest is another, we can think of this is another typing system. So, so this data element means a logical construct that describe business entity and describe a table column. For example, we have a DataHub type number, and number is not enough to describe this column precisely. But if we use impression type, then we can describe it precisely. Then when you see impression in different tables, you will make very sure that these two different impression are the same thing, although their column name can be different. So the first time we reuse a glossary term, then we realize the glossary term does not meet our needs because we want some composition of the data element. For example, do we support anonymous list of impression, or we don't support anonymous? Every time when we want to composite, we have to create a new data element called the impression list. Then we decide to support the anonymous list of impression. Then user don't have to register list of impression, list of impression, map user ID impression. They don't have to give them a name. They can just composite existing one. So also thanks to DataHub extensibility, we extend the DataHub model to support our data element. This is very simple. Just add a new field in the editable schema field info. Then we have the data element. This data element is something called data element ref, and this data element ref will point to a data element def. So very complicated, but very easy to implement due to the extendability. Here's what the data element looks like. So we have a table. We can see the data element of this field. For example, pin ID. And if we click into the pin ID, and we go to the data element detail page, then we can also navigate the related entities, and we see, oh, this pin ID is used in this table, in this table, in this table. So you can build a comparison, or you can build a joint prediction predicate. You can build a joint predicate very easily because they are the same thing. That's the power of data elements. Okay, then we will talk about some future. In the future, we will keep using DataHub, and our focus is something like validation. Can we validate something before we save the data? This is one thing. Second thing is version aspect. I know that currently we support version data set, but we also need some version data element and so on. Can we build a unified unified way to make aspect versioned, and we can access from GraphQL API. And third one I want to mention is we see some 500 code error, 500 server error. That's because our data does not compatible to our model, because we introduced the non-backward compatible change, and this makes our development very hard, because we want to introduce a backward compatible model and have the data and mutate the data and change the model back. This is very complicated. Can we make this easier so that we can easily extend the model without considering too much about backward compatibility? Okay, that's much about it. I hope I'm not over time.
That was perfect timing. Thank you so much. All right, so folks, let's if you have any questions for the Pinterest team, feel free to post them in chat. Thanks so much, Zhong. Great overview. And it's just always amazing to see how different companies are extending the metadata model or, kind of customizing DataHub for their specific use cases. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. I think it's a really good set of kind of like inspiration for folks to think through as, they're thinking about how to customize for their own org. Awesome.
And to answer the question from Tamas, we are talking to the Pinterest team to get kind of the contributions back into the project, both on the thrift ingestion side, as well as on the data element modeling and the UX around that. So stay tuned for that.
All righty. We are going to keep moving along. I'm going to hand it over to Paul and Tamas. We're going to talk through some improvements to our ingestion Quickstart guides. Paul, you are on mute, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
There you are.
Yeah, hi. Paul here, Developer Relations Lead at Acryl. We just want to announce really quickly an education initiative and documentation initiative that we're undertaking. Basically something community-led to help our users more quickly get up and running with DataHub. Right now, we see people having some trouble with Quickstart occasionally, especially in terms of ingesting a few key sources. And so one of the things that we are going to be doing in the coming weeks is we are going to be rolling out a series of 5-minute P0 ingestion guides, which will enable some of the most used ingestion sources to be set up in an extremely streamlined way. And we're really excited to work with the community to help this be, a big success for everyone who is just getting started with ingestion and needs a little help. And in order to support that, in addition to these guides, which Tamas is going to speak to in just a second, we are going to be doing a beginner's workshop series. And this will be geared at anyone who is getting into DataHub, anyone who is running Quickstart, anyone who has never ingested anything before or just needs a little help. And we'll be able to give you some more face-to-face time in order to deal with some of your active troubleshooting questions. These will be live remote workshops, and there will be limited seats available. So when we send out links, make sure to sign up for them. They're definitely geared towards new users, and this is the sort of thing that we're going to be anticipating on a regular basis going forward. So the first one will be on Thursday, December 15th at 9 a.m. PST. That's 2 weeks from today. And yeah, we are really excited, and we look forward to seeing you there. I'll go ahead and pass it off to Tamas, and he can show you a little bit of what these guides will look like. And this
and sorry, I'm going to jump in just 1 second. In terms of the actual invite link, we'll be sure to share that in DataHub Slack and also through our newsletter. So we don't have the link here, but we will be sure to share that widely.
Yeah.
So Eric, I think that hopefully that answers the question that you just posted. So we'll send a link, Slack and newsletter. All right, Tamas.
Okay, so let me quickly show you how this would look like in basically like in a minute, because if I would talk like 5 minutes, that doesn't make sense for a 5-minute guide. Let me share my screen. So basically, this is how the guide would look like. So this is a 5-minute guide, which basically focusing only on, like in this case, on BigQuery to set up a BigQuery ingestion. And basically, we make it clear in the beginning of these ingestion guides what you can expect, what you should not expect, and then and if you want to do more advanced things, where to go. And then you get the prerequisites, what you need to set up in your BigQuery environment, to being able to set up the ingestion on the DataHub side and having all the credentials. And then you get this guide with lots of screenshots, how to set this up. The easiest way, actually. So basically, this is the happy path. If you set up the credentials, what we need, and you set these up in a way, to follow this guide, then in 5 minutes, you should have like a scheduled execution. And in the end, we also help you how you can validate if it succeeded and what kind of assets were ingested in the ingestion. So basically, this is in a nutshell what you can expect.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And we are super excited about these kind of like these hands-on workshops So keep an eye out there. We're going to be focusing, so we're starting with BigQuery now, but really where we're going to be putting our focus is on integration sources where we have a ton of adoption within the community, right? So we're going to be looking for those kind of like high touch points of integration. So things like systems like Snowflake or Redshift, Looker, DBT. So keep an eye out. We're going to be trying to produce those as rapidly as possible so that it's as easy as possible for you to get your metadata routed into DataHub. All right. Speaking of making it easy to use DataHub, Aditya, let's hand things over to you.
Let's hit it. Let me find where my screen is. 1 second.
He just slacked me separately and said that he now knows how to share his screen on. There we go.
Yeah, I think like at a past
We got
town
you
hall,
going.
I was sick and I did not remember how to do that. So do we do it? All right, we did it. Can everyone see my
We're
screen?
good to go. Yep.
Amazing. Okay. Cool. So hey everyone, my name is Aditya. I am a member of Acryl Data. Fittingly, it is actually my 1-year anniversary at Acryl Data, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a feature that I wish I had when I was here at Acryl, so that it would be a little bit easier for me to understand the product. Because for a new person, like sometimes like it can be a little bit hard to understand what's going on. All right, so we recognize that like, right now product education like in the app isn't necessarily where we want it to be. We have a couple observations here. Like DataHub can be like a pretty fast moving project. Features can be super different from version to version, both like the presence of new features and also like one feature may look pretty different from the last version to the next. We've gotten the feedback before from community members that sometimes admins like, have to instruct users on how to use the product, or like if they don't have time, sometimes point them towards docs. This is obviously not an ideal experience, and like we recognize that. So how can we make this better? So some of the requirements that we had when designing better like in-product education was that we think that an end user should not have to ask anybody how to use a feature. We also want to make it a requirement that, like if you fork DataHub or like if you want to have contributions that go back to the open source project, it should be really easy for you to add your own onboarding steps. So, with the Pinterest folks, like you have that data elements entity. We want to make it easy for you to be able to onboard users and like give them some instructions like on how to use that. Cool. And with that, we can jump right into the demo, actually. Let's see. Awesome. Okay, can everyone see my DataHub screen? Cool.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty then. So normally what's going to happen is like the first time a user shows up on DataHub, they'll be able to see this tutorial screen that shows up, on like various pages that you're on. So when you jump on the DataHub like home screen, you're going to see this Welcome to DataHub guide. It's going to give you like a quick overview of like, what DataHub's all about. There's also this special command that you can press, Command Control T. So for Mac users, like Apple Control T, for Windows users, Windows Control T. That's going to allow you to open up this tutorial at any time in case like you just need a refresher or you forgot exactly what the specific feature is about. So let's just go through this guide for the home screen. All right, we're going to hear a little bit about, okay, yep, this is what domains are. We're going to find out about data platforms. We're going to learn a little bit about where we can find the most popular entities, and then about the search bar. So those are like your core elements that are going to be there on the home page. In the V1 of this feature, we're also going to ship out guides for the business glossary. Let me show this. So I've already seen this tutorial before, but let me just bring it up with that command. All right, a little welcome to the business glossary. We tell you a little bit about like what terms are, a little bit about what term groups are. We'll have kind of the same thing going on with ingestion. We can probably add a little bit more to this page, but yep, there's a little bit about how you can create a new managed ingestion source, refreshing pipelines, and then we actually have one on search as well. So I remember it told me to try the Explore All button that we just added in this last version. So let's see what's here. Okay, yeah, it tells me a little bit about search. Okay, I can filter by entity type. That's good to know. And then a little bit more about how to use advanced search. So actually, yeah, let me look for some data sets. So, okay, yeah, let's take a look at this data set that I have over here. And cool, I can learn a little bit about how to navigate this page. So it tells me a little bit about ownership, that tags. There's also links out to the official docs over here, so you can click that if you need a little bit more information, especially with like glossaries and domains and things like that. Cool. I think that's everything on this demo. Let's go back to the slides over here. Awesome. Yeah, so the initial onboarding steps that are going to be there on this V1 and the next release are the ones that I just demoed for you on the home page, on search, UI ingestion, on the entity page, and the business glossary. Similar to the performance improvements and like caching work that John was talking about earlier, like we think it's really important that like we have these onboarding steps present everywhere in the app. So we're really going to push it over the next month or two to make sure that this is everywhere. Another thing to note is that like you can take a look. I'll post some documentation when I merge this feature in, sort of on like how you can add your own onboarding steps, and like you'll see that it's like really easy to add new ones. And so if you feel like there's anywhere where we could use some extra onboarding, like either let me know on the #UI channel or feel free to raise your own PR. We're hoping that like we're making it really easy so that anyone can feel empowered to do this. Thank you.
Incredible. You also snuck in some extra screens there in the last 12 hours or so. Very, very sneaky and covert. Well done.
I did.
All right, we are moving along. We are going to talk adding Lineage through the UI. Quick shout out. This is literally like the #1 upvoted feature request within our community. Last time I looked, we had like over 70 upvotes on it. So super excited that we are making this happen before the end of the year. Chris, I will hand it over to you.
All righty, thanks, Maggie. Yeah, I was going to talk about that feature request as well. Good segue. All right, let me share my screen. Cool. Move a couple of these guys. Cool. All right. Yes, as Maggie said, I'm going to show you guys a little sneak peek of the new feature that we're working on and planning to get out to you guys very soon, and that is manual lineage via the UI. Just as a little caveat, I will say this is just a sneak peek, so expect some styling changes to happen, some finishing touches to be added, but we really wanted to show you guys what we had going on so far and get excited about what's coming soon. All right, so I think most of us here are pretty familiar with what Lineage and DataHub is, but for those that aren't, Lineage is the way that we describe how data flows in and between your systems. So that's upstream and downstreams of different data assets and how things connect to each other in different ways. So, sorry, I got a little bit of noise behind me. But previously, the only way that you could describe Lineage in DataHub is through ingestion pipelines. And whether that be we extract that automatically for you from your source systems, or you define it to be ingested yourself. Well, we've heard loud and clear that now we want an easier way to define what Lineage is in DataHub, and people want to be able to do that through the UI. And I'm happy to show you guys today a new way that we can do that. And like Maggie said, I'd like to give a quick shout out for all of you that participate in our feature request board. It really helps us out a lot in prioritizing what we work on and figuring out what the community really cares about. So like Maggie said, this is the #1 upvoted feature request. So it's evident that we are listening to you guys. Cool. So without further ado, let's do a little demo. Why not? Let's jump into it. I'm gonna go over here. Okay. So for this situation, let's say we have a Postgres data set called member. and I'm planning on doing a data migration from member. So in that situation, I want to know everything that's downstream of me, anything that could be impacted by this data migration. So my first step is to go to the Lineage tab of this data set and look at our impact analysis for what could be downstream and what could be impacted. Here, right now, you see there is no data, which is kind of sad. And that's because right now we don't automatically extract Lineage for Postgres. However, I do know that there is something downstream of me, but just to show you again that nothing is downstream in our Lineage view as well, kind of sad. But yeah, like I said, I know that something is downstream of me. I know there's a snowflake table. So at this point now, we can actually open up a new little menu that says manage upstream, manage downstream. In this situation, I want to be able to manage my downstream lineage. Opens up a new modal. And here you can see the entity that we're working on. We would be seeing all of the downstreams if there were anything here to show. And then now we can actually add new entities right here with a search bar. So I know the snowflake table that I care about is called purchases. So I'm going to look for that. I can click add. And here we go. Purchases is now in our queue to potentially be added as downstream dependencies. You can add many things at once. This is a bulk edit. You can also remove multiple things at once. Nothing's also changed until I click save changes. So if you realize you made a mistake, you can remove, cancel, whatever. In this situation, I feel pretty good about purchases being added as a downstream edge. So I'll click save, and there we go. Purchases is immediately added and available to view in this lineage view. And I can also extend the downstream edges of purchases. And here I can see that it keeps going downstream. And in fact, there's lots of stuff downstream of member. Good thing I added that lineage edge manually, so I can check to make sure everything that's downstream of it before I do any data migrations to see everything that could be impacted. As per usual, I can go back to the entity profile, look at the lineage tab, and I can do impact analysis for downstream. And here you can see everything that is now downstream based on the new edge that I just added manually through the UI. But wait, that's not all. We also have the manage dropdown here in the lineage tab, not just the lineage visualization view. And let's say I realize, shoot, purchases is actually the wrong table. I kind of want to get rid of that and undo the work that I just did. Well, you can go in and just remove it simply as that. Click save, and then your lineage will be updated. And now you can see updated lineage. You got rid of the downstream, nothing here in the impact analysis tab, as well as nothing here in your lineage view. This demo is mostly focused on updating what's downstream of you, but same thing goes if you want to go in the reverse direction and add things that are upstream of you as well. And then with that, I'll go back to the slideshow. So yeah, that was a quick little sneak peek of manual lineage in the UI, coming soon to a DataHub instance near you. I'll pass it back to you, Maggie.
Amazing. There's a ton of love in the chat. This is very clearly like something that folks are very excited about. One thing I do want to call out, we're going to be, so like Chris said, this is a kind of like first view of it. We're going to be iterating through some of the some of the ways that we're kind of like presenting the information. And one thing that we want to make really clear in the UI is helping people understand what was added manually versus what was added automatically or programmatically. And kind of having like an almost like an audit trail behind it, so you can see who added those relationships, and just more transparency into, was this something that was automatically detected, or is this something that someone actually like went through and manually mapped out? So I think those can have very different kind of implications of how you consume or kind of act on that information. All right, we have one more round or one more session. Shirshanka, I'm going to hand it over to you to demo our upcoming Slack and Microsoft Teams integration.
Wow, I got put behind Professor Collins. This is going to be a tough act to follow.
It's a tough act to follow. I don't envy your
I don't know who was part
here.
of this committee here.
It's me. I'm to blame.
All right.
You'll be fine.
Well, let's see how it goes. So, all right, let me share the screen. Awesome. Oops. Jokes. screen visible?
Yep, we can see your deck.
All right. So today I'm going to be demoing first look at our Slack and Microsoft Teams integrations with DataHub. And it all started with obviously trying to bring metadata and people closer together. You know, people come to DataHub to discover and curate and do all of the amazing things that they want to do with metadata. But then people are also off in other systems like Slack or Teams, and they're conversing and talking about data and other things like the weather, and they're also reacting to stuff that's happening. But so far, these two worlds have been split apart, and these people, they were having to kind of come over from one system to the other just to do the things that they wanted to do better. And with this initiative, we are starting to bring these worlds closer together. So what are the things we can do? Obviously, from the places where you are already at, you should be able to get notified on changes that are happening to your metadata, as well as be able to query metadata right from your workspace. And then in the reverse direction, you should be able to enrich context back into the metadata graph, add conversations, add the ability to document things right from where you are in your workspace. So that's kind of the future, right? You want kind of seamless bidirectional integrations between these two worlds. Today, I'm going to be demoing just one of those edges, being able to have changes being observed within a workspace. All good so far? Let's get right into it. How do you do this? Well, there is a system we've built called the DataHub Actions Framework. It's an open source repository, and it makes it very easy for you to subscribe to changes that are happening in your metadata graph and then doing things with it. At the highest level, it's basically a metadata event change stream. You can act on an event, decide to process it, and send it off to a destination. In the act of processing the message, you can actually check back with DataHub and enrich the message so that the message has a lot of additional context when you send it over to your workspace. And we're going to walk through how we build something like this and then do a quick demo. So first of all, how do you build a Slack app? That itself can be a little daunting to people, but Slack apps actually have become very easy to build. All you have to do is, if you're a Slack workspace admin, just go into your this particular area, click create a new app, use a manifest. We'll give you a manifest that you can just paste into this section, select your workspace, and then install it in your workspace. If you're an admin, you should be able to allow this easily. I literally did this last night. It took me 5 minutes. So it's a pretty easy and painless process. Once you do that, you have to take note of certain things that Slack provisions for your app. There's a signing secret, as well as an OAuth token that gets provisioned for your bot. Once you're armed with these credentials, you're now ready to build the integration. Oh, one last step, you need to add your app to the channel that you need to send notifications to. So the way I've built this app is it essentially sends notifications to a specific channel that it is invited to. So in this case, I went to DataHub open source, the Slack community, and I created a channel called Demo Slack Notifications. If you're on the Slack right now, you could actually join it. And I added this app to that channel. Once you do that, you're now ready to write some code. First, read the docs, clone the repo. It's Acryl data DataHub actions. And once you've done that, you start to build, right? And there are really 3 steps to building an action. The first step is figuring out what configuration you need. So we talked about those credentials. We need a bot token. We need a signing secret. We probably need a default channel to send these messages to. If we want to render the links, we want to know where DataHub is hosted at. So at your company, it might be datahub.mycompany.something. In the case of Acryl customers, it's like customers.acryl.io. In case of demo.datahub project, it's demo.datahubproject.io. That's where you set it up. And there's a lot of noise sometimes in the system activity log. So if you want to suppress that, you set that to true or false, things like that. Just a little bit of configurability on how to process messages. And then you build an initialization script for your class to get initialized. Maybe you want to send a welcome message the moment your action comes alive to the app. Slack gives you a very nice API, so you can instantiate an app with the tokens that you have, and then you can post a welcome message. What does this look like? Something like this. So far, we've not even really used actions. We've just built the Hello World app that starts up and posts a message when it starts up. And this is what a message like that looks like. So this is just saying Hello World. But now it gets interesting. Let's start processing some events. What are the kinds of events? Read the docs, but at a high level, there's basically two types. Metadata changelog v1, which is like the raw stream of changes, and entity change event v1, which is like a semantic log of changes. We highly recommend you use that because it actually gives you a much simpler event model to process. And so the way I wrote the code was just check if it's an ECE, otherwise just drop it. And if it's an ECE, then kind of understand the entity change event to figure out which entity performed what via which thing on which entity. So for example, Chris performed add tag event via the tag PII on the entity DBT table X, right? At that time, I can also do entity attribute lookups. For example, I could decorate Chris's URN to understand he's actually Professor Chris Collins, not just Chris, and then pretty print it out over, the destination could be Slack or Teams. This is what the code looks like. It's actually not a lot of code, just a few lines. You can see me checking for the event type, and then, I have a helper class that allows me to get a message from an entity change event with a channel and then posting the message over. Teams is actually very similar. I actually did it even simply with just using an incoming webhook, and that gives you a webhook URL, and there we go. So demo time. If you are on the DataHub Slack, you can actually head over to the channel demo Slack notifications. I will be going over there as well, so you can see my screen. Here we are. As you can see, this was the message last night. Thanks, Peter, for deploying the actions pod. And I added Maggie, and that's all that's been happening. So let's go over to demo and do something. So for example, here's this DBT table. And I actually don't think that this is the right description. So I think this is not just an identifier. This is a unique identifier. And let's update the docs. Done. Oh, there it is. DataHub has updated documentation for column customer ID for DBT table customers. I've got a nice link over here. And if I click into it, I go right into the table with the customer ID column highlighted. So that's pretty cool. I also think the European Center for Disease Prevention and Control does not really own this data set. So let me actually remove them as an owner. And yeah, there you go. We have removed this owner. What else can we do? Pretty much anything, like just have fun, play around with it, add stuff, remove stuff. Now we know what you're doing on demo.datahubproject.io. So be nice.
You're already getting some pretty exciting emoji reactions in there.
Yeah. Oh, something interesting. You can go into, since DataHub is such a boring name, you could actually go and edit the name and say DataHub Demo God.
The power is getting to your head.
And then maybe you can go, oh, I've not done this before. Let's see if ML models work. Let's remove a glossary term. Where's that X? It's so small. There it is. Ah, there you go. DataHub Demo God. So as you can see, the decoration actually works. Awesome. And the same thing happens on Teams as well. So this Teams thing is private. So proof it works. We have this, the same messages going over Teams as well. So you can set this up yourself and have fun with it. Back here, that was the demo. What's the current status? This is actually live. So this is connected up to demo.datahub. This gets deployed from head. So as you make changes to this Slack notification, you will actually see those changes reflected in the notifications coming over there. It also works with Quickstart. So ask over Slack for instructions. Docs are on their way. So you can actually try this out with your local Quickstart right now. Code is over here on the actions repo. But really what's next is, of course, docs, but community-led development. I mean, the reason for us building the Slack and the Teams integration is just to show you how it's done. And we really want you to take ownership of what does an amazing app experience look like. Richer previews, could we be doing app unfurls? Could we be doing interactive messages? Could we do slash commands like /discover or something like that? How do we pipe operational signals like, hey, a data set just landed and its data quality score looks pretty bad, you know? The world is your oyster, and so have fun with it and send us PRs. We are really excited to give you this app and to see you take it wherever you want it to go. And that's it.
Incredible. All right. We do have some questions in chat. Folks, we are a few minutes over, but we're happy to stick around if anybody has lingering questions. You're welcome to go off mute. You're welcome to chat with us. So Umesh had a question around exploring integrations with Teams chat as part of the DataHub UI for collaboration. So we've gone back and forth on this, and I actually am overdue for an update to the community in terms of what our collaboration kind of like focus is going to be. We've actually heard a lot of we've heard a lot of variety in terms of how folks want to use DataHub for collaboration. So we're trying to keep it as kind of like vanilla as possible, but then allow for that customization. We haven't specifically explored Teams and UI integration, but I always encourage folks to open PRs feature requests, so we can start to kind of gauge interest or user stories, or kind of like get a really clear understanding of what problems we're solving with that feature, and we can that way we can kind of flesh it out more holistically. There's a question from Daphne around the download issue. I'm not sure what the download issue is.
Yeah, so I think we are aware of this, Daphne. We haven't had a chance to prioritize this on our product backlog, but we will be getting to it hopefully in the next week or two. So we can sync offline maybe if we have any questions for you. I know you did report that one originally.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Are we doing December town hall in December or in January, Maggie?
January. We have transcended time. And so we are now living by our own calendar. No, but in all reality, just with the way that the holidays are falling, it just doesn't make sense for us to try to cram it in before the end of the year. That way we can get as many folks as possible. So our December town hall, which will really be our kind of like 2022 end of year recap, final touch point of our ongoing initiatives. That'll be I believe it's January 5th. So it's the first Thursday of 2023. Thank you all so much for coming in. We appreciate your time and your energy and your focus and your attention and your enthusiasm and all that you bring to this wonderful community. And I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season if we don't see you around. But otherwise, we'll see you on Slack, everybody. Goodbye.